Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be talking about Tropical Depression Eta. Now this is the same storm we talked about in the last video that was actually a Category 4 hurricane. Got close to Category 5 but did not quite reach to that intensity. But right now it's died down to a tropical depression and is posing right now a threat to Cuba, portions of the Bahamas, even across portions of Florida, which specifically southern Florida, which those guys have been pretty much tropical system free throughout the entire season. And now it's looking like they will have a threat from Tropical Depression Eta, which has winds of 35 miles an hour. It's got a pressure of 1,005 millibars. Right now, it's starting to move off Central America and continuing to move to the northeast. Right now, it's moving north-northwest, but you'll start to see turn to the northeast as well, going towards Cuba as well. If we go back over here, this is the National Hurricane Center's forecast. You can see here the cone is very large in the 4 to 5 day period. But you can generally see it does bring a threat across portions of southern Florida. And this here could bring some major impacts across portions of Florida here as well. And that's something, and I made a map for that as well. I'm going to move that tab over real quick. And we do expect this to become a tropical storm by lunchtime tomorrow. And eventually it's going to slowly intensify. It's really going to depend on if it can get an organized circulation and stuff like that. There's also some wind shear in its environment as well, so it's not really going to rapidly intensify as well. So that's some good news there. But we still got a decent, quite a bit of ocean heat content, unfortunately. You can see here, really favorable conditions is really in the yellow, the orange, and the reds. Those are favorable conditions there. But areas in the greens, in the blues, especially the dark blue, is pretty unfavorable. I mean, the green colors is somewhat favorable, but the blue colors is just not favorable for tropical systems. And you can see where it's going. It's going to some of those higher numbers, even some of the highest numbers in the Caribbean right now. And it may try to rapidly intensify. We're just going to see what's going to happen here. Is this really going to depend on the wind shear that 7's going to have to fight for? And it's also got to try to get an organized circulation here. But for right now, the chances of this rapidly intensifying is low for right now, but the possibility is still there. So let's go back here. So you can see here, you know what I'm talking about here. It's starting to get some thunderstorm activity. It's mostly been a dry system over land. What I mean by dry, there's not really much in the way of showers of thunderstorms around the main circulation. Now we're starting to see that, so it's starting to get organized for right now since it's starting to get over the waters, but we're going to see what's going to happen by tomorrow. Now the hurricane models are starting to really behave themselves. And if you guys seen some of the other videos some other people posted, Twitter and other platforms about hurricane models for the past couple of days, it's been extremely widespread. I mean, you have hurricane models, some of them staying over Central America, some of them hitting Mexico, some of them hitting Jamaica. It's quite ridiculous. But now we're starting to see a better agreement here with the 0Z run, which is making forecasting a little bit easier. What's not making so much easier for right now in some of the higher certainties is when it gets to the west coast of Florida. And that is an area to watch here as well. And some also been predicting that it will stay stationary. And we're going to show you guys a couple scenarios there in a moment. Here's the Gfs Ensembles. You can see our pretty good agreement here, but you can see here some of those models there, you still got a very large spread. Here's what it goes pretty much from, portions of the central Gulf of Mexico to the west coast of Florida. So it's that kind of general region where the system here could go. But what's also a possibility is it could stay stationary, and that's what the global models are showing. Not so much in the way of some of these ensembles and the hurricane models as well although the intensity, it seems like the better agreement, it's going to be staying as a tropical storm nearly the entire time, which is good news there as well. But let's kind of take a look into some of these models here. Now, if we look into the GFS model here, you can see here it actually makes landfall across southern Florida here, which is a little bit further north track than some of the other models are showing. But then, when it gets closer to Tampa, look at that. Stay stationary over the next couple days and eventually make a landfall. That's the scenario we're kind of watching for here, of where it stays stationary there. There's some good news and some bad news with this here. The good news is, if it stays stationary, it's only going to make the storm weaker. That's the good part of all things. The bad news is, if it gets just close enough to Florida, areas along the west coast can see major flooding issues, even for some storm surge issues as well. And that's the bad news about this here. So it's really going to depend on the location of the system here. But either way, it's going to die itself, kind of kill itself over time, the longer it stays stationary. Eventually, it's going to be starting to move north at some point. We don't really know that part yet. But that's something what the global models are showing. The Canadian and European models actually do agree that with that solution. And some of those hurricane models are trying to kind of show that solution there. You can see here how it really slows down by some of these models here around that point. And that's the part we gotta watch here as well. But that's kind of in the 5-day period as well. So just to keep in mind that. Let's take a look at rainfall here, and that's going to be one of the major impacts is the rainfall. For right now, most of your rain is looking to be around Key West, with areas could see up to 10 inches of rain, maybe a little bit more. But you can see are kind of around Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. Some areas could see anywhere from 6 to maybe 9 inches of rain. So that's a lot of rain to deal with, and that can create some major flooding issues across some of those regions. But even 4 inches of rain, which it goes quite further up along the east coast, you could still see some flooding problems into some of those regions as well. So that's something we're going to definitely watch there as well. But it doesn't really go as far out as where the models are kind of predicting where it's going to stay stationary. And that's where some of the uncertainties really come into play. But let's take a look at some models here. Now, for right now, the European model has it stationary pretty far to the west. I mean, as far west as the central Gulf of Mexico. So that is extremely far west. But look at some of those rainfall amounts they could put down. 20 inches of rain. That's a lot of rain. But for the higher confidence here, see, like around Miami, Key West, areas could see 6 to maybe 8 inches of rain for the European model. But where the GFS has been uh, quite a bit different here. I mean, for along the southeast coast to Key West, it's pretty much the same. But with the placement of where it's going to be staying stationary, it's a lot further east. It's kind of near along the coast. And you can see here with some of those rainfall amounts, it's up to 6 or 7 inches of rain, which is a lot. If it gets further east, you know, you can see a little bit out to the Gulf of Mexico here, it's showing rainfall amounts up to 13 inches. And that's a significant amount of rain. So this is definitely we need to watch here very closely here. But really beyond that, we're not 100% sure. And this is why I kind of made this map here, because we got a few different scenarios. So for areas in red, I got pretty good confidence you guys will probably see some major impacts to some of those regions, mainly the rainfall threat, which some of those areas there can see some major flooding issues. So anybody in the red, which includes West Palm Beach, Miami, back down to Key West, get prepared for some impacts there as well. But areas in the yellow, you can see it's over a pretty large region. Gotta watch the system closely. We've seen some models bring it like this morning. Uh, for our past couple runs, bringing it up to southeastern Louisiana. We've seen some of that, but it's kind of backing off for right now, but it could change, but we're going to see about that. You can see here it even includes along the coast here line, right from southeastern Louisiana into, to Florida. In those areas, going to need to watch the system here closely as well, because eventually it's going to be making landfall at some point here because it'll be taken away from a trough that'll be going on across kind of as close as the Tennessee Valley there. But we're going to watch the system here closely, but areas in the yellow, going to need to watch the system here closely here. But for right now, I mean, for the threat is there, but for right now, the confidence is pretty low. But, again, those areas in the yellow needs to watch the system here closely. And if we have better confidence where it's going to be making landfall, I'll upgrade you guys to the red, like these regions here as well. But anyways, guys, this is Arc for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys like this video, hit the like button. If you really do like my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put a comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.